I want to spend a minute with you today to talk about what's on everybody's minds: Trump, tariffs, and Premier Danielle Smith. And it may sound funny to put the Premier on that list, but this is actually the problem. The Premier suffers from what we call main character syndrome. She wants to be the center of attention. And we spent far too much time talking about Premier Danielle Smith and her various parties and balls she's going to, and not enough time talking about a very existential threat to Albertan workers, to Albertan consumers. Whether you're a farmer or a rancher or someone in the retail trade, whether you're just someone who wants to be able to afford food, which is all of us, we are facing a threat to our economy from the incoming US president that is unlike anything else we can describe. Times like this call for tough, hard, pragmatic solutions. But what we have is a premier who just wants to be in the middle of everything. So you know what? Her entire plan was, if she could only use her right-wing networks to get into Mar-a-Lago and talk to Trump, in the 30 seconds she had with him, she would convince him to abandon his entire economic policy. And he told her to go pound sand. That was never going to work. And it exposed the fact that the premier has no plan. After she was finished with her meetings at Mar-a-Lago, she sort of just went back to her talking points. If only we canceled the clean electricity regulation, then Trump will love us again. Come on, nobody believes this. And the fact that the premier could not spend a day of her vacation to meet with the other premiers and the prime minister in person. 13 people there in person and one video screen. Of course she wasn't going to be able to get her points across. And now she's at the inauguration, she's got access to important people, and she's busy taking selfies at balls and parties with important people, none of whom have posted that they met her. So she's had no impact on them. What we need to do is sit down with industries, with stakeholders, what I've been doing over the course of the last month, to really understand how they're going to be impacted and what tools can help them and what tools will hurt them. And if there are tools that will hurt them, how we mitigate those. We need to be focusing on the things that we think will help move the US administration and the things that will help the Canadian economy through this, including, for example, building up our export markets, including ensuring that we have access for our resources, whether oil and gas or agricultural, outside of the United States. Right now, I don't see the premier doing any of that. You know, I was asked in a press conference this week if the premier was doing the right thing because President Trump is the most important stakeholder. Here's the thing. President Trump may be Danielle Smith's most important stakeholder, but she works for us. So the only stakeholders that matter are Albertans. And let's remember, every Albertan is also a Canadian. This is a time for Canada to show its strength together. Canada is worth fighting for, and we shouldn't be undermining this nation for our own interests. For Premier Smith, perhaps the most important stakeholder is President Trump. What we don't need is a premier who wants to be the center of attention. What we need is a premier who's going to get the job done for Alberta. And with Alberta New Democrats, better is possible.